I just consider myself like an average person in the sense that, you know, me getting into even entrepreneurship was really just because I didn't find somebody else that I could get behind. I wanted people to walk away like, wow, this he's here to play, you know, and he's not messing around, right? He's out for blood. That's really kind of what the outcome that I wanted. How do I create tremendous value for the audience? How do I separate myself, my brand, from everybody else in the business? There was so much to do. Everything related to the conference, all the things we had to get done, coordination, ticket sales, what I was going to talk about. Well, I wanted something very unique. You know, I've always been a big Batman fan, and I think part of my branding has, you know, this kind of mysteriousness of, well, where did this guy come from? He kind of came out of nowhere, right? And then he put on this huge conference, and Magic Johnson's is flying in town, and, you know, how did this happen? To really position the brand in a way that, you know, people were going to say, okay, you know, this guy's arrived, right? He's here, he's ready to play, he's not playing small. And I think that's really what I was trying to accomplish for myself. That was kind of my own personal thing. When somebody's looking at the colors or the logos or all of it, you know, I think without them even knowing this, every single thing had a personal thing to me, had a personal attachment to me. All of these again, fundamentals and details all stacked up. When people showed up, it was like, wow, this is completely different. And then as the conference went on, I think people started to connect the dots, saying, oh, well, this guy talks about the 80s. There was a little bit of 80s music, the Testarossa, Florida, Tampa, you know, all of this, the skyline, everything, the Batman thing, you know, they got the Batman tattoo, and, you know, all of these things started to connect. And I think over time, people will start to resonate more because we're going to start connecting the dots even more. It's different. It was a different reel that everybody else has, because everybody else has a lot of B-roll and different clips of stuff that have happened and blah, blah, blah. This was kind of more of like a movie production, and everything was done correctly, and the lighting was amazing, the graphic design. When you work with the best and you have the best in mind, you have these great outcomes. I think that for me, the process was, how do I find something that was personal with them that they went through that I resonated with? Like, I'll give you a perfect example with Jay Cutler. I was watching a YouTube video of him at home with Hooli, and basically it was like, I saw something he went through when he lost Mr. Olympia the second time, and he was like one of the only guys ever winning after losing twice. And just the expression on his face when he lost and what happened. And I wanted to know what was he thinking? And then literally I reached out to him and I was like, hey man, I want you to be part of the conference. You know, I think Grant was great, Alex Morton was great, Rick Ross was amazing. His story, where he comes from, the underdog, you know, and that he had grinded for so many years, that was very inspirational. You know, a lot of people think that success just comes, you know, and it's like, oh, all of a sudden the person's successful, but you're missing the 20-year backdrop. And I think all the speakers were great. All the speakers we had were top. They're best in the world, right? All of them had tremendous amount of knowledge and wisdom, and, you know, they all had their own different speaking styles, which was cool. So for me, I was able to kind of see, oh, this kind of works for him, and this kind of works for this guy, and you can kind of start picking up little things that make you a better, you know, speaker on stage and stuff like that. So I have a picture of Magic watching the big screen by himself. When I saw that picture, I'm like, this is why he's great. This is why he is a standout from everybody else. He's like, I'm gonna watch this guy so that when he gets out there, he can expand on the things that I just spoke about. To me, shows it's kind of a great example of professionalism, right? The guy's an absolute professional. The audience now was like, wow, he didn't just come out there and just throw a speech out, right? He incorporated what I said into what he was saying, And to me, that was epic. That was really epic. Tim Grover did a little bit of that. He talked about that. He talked about, being obsessed and being excellent. I thought that was amazing how he incorporated that into the conference. And then, of course, David Goggins was probably my other favorite. And he said backstage, including his wife Jennifer, were saying that it was the best interview he's had in 6 years. Because he was like, man, you were there with me. I wasn't just peppering him with questions and trying to get an answer. I was sharing kind of my own story with him. I was there, present, actually trying to build this relationship in front of, thousands of people, while gaining all this knowledge that he had to share. So, those were great. Those were really great moments for me with those speakers. At that point, I was just having fun. At that point, it was all over for me. At that point, I was like, okay, I did it. Sense of pride, yeah, it was a huge push. And I remember, the cool thing was I wasn't nervous, I wasn't anxious, nothing. My wife asked me that morning if I was nervous or anything. I'm like, no, I'm honestly, I was giddy. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna have fun, man. Like I've already, put this thing together. Everyone was there. At that point, I felt like, okay, I already accomplished what it was I wanted to accomplish. Now it was just, it was for me the experience of enjoying it and just going through it, as opposed to now thinking that it was work. I was just happy to be there, just like everybody else, man. I was a spectator, and I wanted to deliver for people. I wanted everyone to walk away from that conference with this newfound viewpoint on life, that whatever it was that they thought it was, or that they couldn't accomplish their goals or their dreams or whatever it was, that they would walk out of there with a little bit more light, a little bit more of a spring in their step, to where they're like, okay, you know what, I can do this now. And they saw all these people on stage talk about their stories and their struggles, and I realized that I can overcome those things. That to me was really the win. Just that somebody would change their mind and do something that they thought that they couldn't do before. The message is you got to invest in yourself. And if you don't get in the right room with people, very hard for you to get ahead in life. You got to get new ideas, you got to get new viewpoints, you got to make new connections, and you got to be willing to step out of your comfort zone. And so, a lot of the people that I talked to that came to the conference are still telling me that they're in touch with people that they met. They made amazing connections. The networking is crazy. You got millionaires and billionaires and people that want to give money, people that want to invest, people that want to, starting new companies, all types of stuff. Maybe you're just a relationship away from getting a contract that you need, or being able to do business, or whatever it may be. This is what life's about. This is why we have this conference. This conference is the elite of the elite. It's the place to go. If you're a successful entrepreneur in your space, an executive, whoever you are, this is where you want to be. Tampa, April 19th weekend, already booked. We got a lot of big stuff planned. I mean, it's definitely gonna be 3 times the size. So we're gonna go from, 1,200, 1,300 people to 3,000. Yeah, we got some big names.